Hi there, welcome to the Medical Sound Association meeting. Let's start with 3 ohms. So today we're going over sound for suicide and sound for end of life. I'm hoping that when people watch this video, they'll send in comments and that we can add into the Google Doc that's posted on the site. As you might know, we've already got a lot of treatment plans posted on our site on the Medical Sound Association. If you go to medicalsoundassociation.com and then click on Integrative Sound, you'll see all the different treatment plans for grief, anxiety, depression, trauma, dementia, addiction, pain, autism, cancer, anger, sleep, schizophrenia, thyroid issues, traumatic brain injuries, and adrenals, and heart conditions. And we're going to be adding the one, we just did the one on blood clots and digestion as well a month ago, so we're going to add that. And then we'll add this one on suicide and end of life as well. So for each of these treatment plans, we've got a detailed structure. First, we go through the medical details and types, information about the issue, causes, current medical treatments, and types of people which might be treated differently. Right. Then we have the conceptual framework, our approach on how we're approaching this in general. And then we got the safety guidelines, which hospitals need, and intake questions, and then the actual treatments, and then treatments other than sound and homework for the client. Right. So that's our format. So let's look at sound for suicide. So when it comes to suicide, obviously the safety guidelines are really important. I mean, really important. There are two main types of suicide that you could say. One is passive, where people just talk about it, and then there's the one where they actually have a plan or are thinking about it. Though some say that when they're really thinking about it seriously, they often don't tell people. Right? So if there's, in any case, you can share the actual suicide hotline and just do the basic. If someone's really serious about doing it and they have a means to do it, then it's required for psychotherapists or anybody in the mental health field to actually call either 911 or call someone, right? So you might consider that. In fact, I would definitely say to do that because it's kind of beyond our scope here. Um, so really the number one aspect that I think of when it comes to suicide is why is it happening? And this is not my specialty, so I'm really looking for feedback uh, of anybody that watches this video to send in, and we'll add it to this Google Doc here. The main thing I think about is no purpose in life. They don't have any reason to live. So after working with the sound, you can actually, and getting to a place of peace, which is our basic protocol, then you can really focus on finding a purpose in life. Right? And we'll talk more about that in just a bit. But also difficult situations where somebody loses respect. Actually, I know someone that actually was having a really hard time with a family member had gotten the wrong impression of them and had made them out to be a bad person, and or you actually did something bad or hurt someone. You can't handle that. Pain's a big one, right? I mean, people commonly can't handle the pain or the whatever's debilitation going on from a disease. Could be a loss of job or income. You're now homeless, right? Loss of house. Loss of relationship is a huge one, right? Even being blackmailed, right? So there's all these different situations. Um, but, the beginning approach to just about any issue is always to actually create peace, get them into a place of peace. And this is what sound healing is all about. You can actually use uh, low frequencies, archetypal frequencies like the Schumann resonance. You can use just coherent, stable frequencies. You can use sounds, which is what we do, all the different crystal bowls, hand pans, wood drum, sansula, koshi chimes, warm voice, and then, as we know, a slow fade on a crystal bowl leaves you in that place of peace. Beautiful musical intervals. Do music, and that could be music that you play or live, or you could actually find music that is helpful for them. Help them put together a playlist of music that is the best, that really is uplifting for them, or it just brings them into the zone, right? Um, you can also then use intention as well. Um, so you can also look at playing instruments. Playing instruments can be a really big one to get them to actually play and start. Maybe they might find that they just love the gong when they play it, or they love an instrument. So you can, suggest them getting an instrument if they're really enjoying it, right? And there's also uh, the vocal work we can do with voice work, with releasing stuck emotions, making the sound of how they feel, which often we have to start with actually um, working on getting comfortable with making sound first, which is best to start with call and response, and then work it up so that after they get comfortable, they start making the sound of how they feel to actually express it. Right? That's really huge. There's the other major point, and that is the class we do on holding frequency, where we actually uh, go through 11 techniques for dealing with challenges and conflicts, and that addresses precisely the all these different issues that could be causing thoughts of suicide, right? So how to deal with all these issues, and it can be as simple as toning, letting it be, allowing, doing gratitude, the sound of gratitude, gratitude for even the situation, which is tricky, learning compassion, doing the sound of compassion, and especially the sound of love. So that can be a really, really helpful to be able to handle any difficult situations that you feel that are too overwhelming. And we have a whole class on that. But then, actually, after you get them into a place of peace, to actually explore, their feelings around it. Of course, you have to be careful because, um, but often when you're in a place of peace after a little sound bath, then or sound treatment, it's often a really good place to discuss things. And then really, I mean, the main thing that I think of is actually doing a entire ceremony on what their life is going to be like. Imagining what the life would be like without these thoughts. Imagining moving forward and resonating all of the gratitude, resonating all of the possibilities in life, and doing sound while focusing on those to really resonate the energy of what of how things could change. That seems like the best I can come up with. Resonating what it would be like to be different, right? And resonating gratitude, right? And then, you can actually look at developing a protocol. And I think this is really important. If you can, after playing with all the different sounds and music that um, you come up with, and notice what they like. What instruments do they like? What music do they like? What seems to light them up? And then set up a practice for them that they will actually do 3 or 4 times or more through the day. Maybe if they can afford it, get some instruments, right? And start developing a whole practice where they use their own voice even and use the instruments or just listen to music. It might be just a playlist, okay, that they use throughout the day to keep them in the zone. And then also, not only just a, a protocol for being happy, right? We'll call it, but also a protocol for what to do when the thoughts come up, right? What to do then. So, maybe they one might be to pull out the gratitude list. I think doing a gratitude list is critical, right? Pull out the gratitude list and actually read the list while making the sound of gratitude, right? Or playing an instrument and setting the intention of that instrument sound is going to be the energy of gratitude. That could be really cool, right? So anything you can think of as far as what would be good in the midst of the challenge, right? Even sending love to the feelings, right? To the the feelings, right? Into your body. Right? So those are the main areas that I think of to really help. There's also brainwave entrainment, where we find their note and we play each of the 12 notes in each of the 12 rhythms and see which one makes them the most peaceful. I've got a whole protocol where I do that. And then giving them CDs tuned to them or downloads, right? That could be really helpful because it's getting the brain back to its stable, consistent vibration. Yeah, it's very good. I mean, ultimately, if you are really good at this and bringing people into a level of source, into source, right? Bring them into universal love, right? Because often when people get into that zone where they're blissed out and connected to source, then a higher perspective often shows up. You know? And then you can really talk about that higher perspective, and often people get downloads. So I think if you're able to do that as a sound healer, that can be one of the most effective and beautiful, right? Because really, I think it's not only a loss of stuff, loss of things, and it's not only no purpose in life, but it's also a loss of connection to source, right? It's like it's like a complete loss of our divinity. And and when that goes away, it's like we feel so lost, right? And it's so common on this planet. So if you've got if you know how to do that, then that could be the best, right? If you don't know how to do that, it's a good thing to learn, right? Okay? How to bring in source and universal love. Those are the main things I can think of right now. See if there's any other things. The intake questions, I recommend doing those after a little sound bath. Right? It's really, I think it could be very cool to look at, and it's critical to do it in a non-judgmental way, as to what triggers the the, the suicidal thoughts. So you have to be really careful when doing that. That's why I feel it's best to do it after an initial sound bath, so people are really in the zone. Okay. Okay. So that's about all I have for this. When oh, also, just seriously recommend people getting help, from a professional, because in this area, it's not. I mean, it's really nice to have been trained in detail for this. Right? Okay. Okay, let's take a look at sound for end of life. It's not really my specialty, but let me just say that there's a few different types here. There's those that have been diagnosed with a so-called terminal disease. Right. Oh, let me actually stop here. The recording. I'm going to stop recording and then start it again.